You are listening to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where illumination and inspiration is but a click away. With so many genre topics for you on everything that you need to know in life. We celebrate and share the people who have taken the journey before you and who are now here to serve you with their wisdom and their knowledge. The next show coming up is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business. I am Sara Tory, and you are here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. And I have the wonderful John North back here again. Now, you've seen me interview John before, and there's going to be many more interviews with John in the future. He's building me an entirely new platform on the Evolvepreneur. I can't wait. We're doing a lot of work to bring you a whole new look, a whole new layout. It's very exciting, even though it's daunting because there's so much work going into it. And I'm very excited about that coming out. But John is also a book publisher, and he also is a person that likes to promote other people and really get them out there. So I invite you to go to, the Community Mentors page and actually look at the work that he does and what he offers to you. Please listen to the show that we did on his how and why that it went along the way. But today, it's a totally different thing we're sharing with you. We're sharing an excitement of a course that is coming up, a whole I don't know if it's a course or a workshop or a platform, but it is Tony Robbins. I think you know who he is, and it's the skyrocketing knowledge industry. And he has another gentleman called Dean Gracioso coming along with him, and they're going to be sharing their infinite wisdom. And this is a very short course that's coming up here. It's a massive big platform that's going to be out there. John attended it last year, got so much out of it that he wanted to promote it this year and invite you to come and have the experience, because what he got out of that was something he's applied to his own business that you could apply to your own business and really reach those heights that you want to reach. So John, I know you're very, very excited about this. So welcome back.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm excited to be here and talk about this because I think it's quite an interesting event that's coming up soon, so I really like people to have a look at it.
Yes, and this is a short and sweet, folks. This is not kind of one of the shows that's going to be in the long-term library, because this is promoting something that's coming up soon that you need to sign up for. And I think, as I said, everybody knows who Tony Robbins is. He's a motivator, he's a knowledge sharer, and of course the people he has around them are also like that. I was like, what you actually said earlier, I love, which I'm going to adopt, is the knowledge broker, which is... And we all need to listen to other people, especially those that have truly reached their success. Because if we can steal some nuggets from them and apply it to ourselves, we're going to gather the same wings, aren't we?
Yep, exactly. And I think the whole concept behind this was last year when we got involved in it, was that the concept is that knowledge broking is the new kind of currency. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that he wants to make self-education the new norm. So part of this reason for doing it isn't just a case of releasing a course and like teaching a few people how to create masterminds, which is essentially what it is. It's about changing it. It's really a movement to change people's way of learning, because they really believe the education system's broken. Mm-hmm. And that the people, they get out of university, the big debt, and then they've got no business after that, no job. They've got to go on a job, pay back a debt. And you're probably the same with me, like self-education, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're not educating yourself, then no one else will, right? So you're pretty much on your own. And that whole process is something that's not really that well known. So right. At the end of the day, that self-education is something that's growing all the time, and the consulting market's massive. So this whole concept of you knowing what you know, but then extracting that and actually creating something from it to be able to create an income for you, is essentially that. I mean, I started in book publishing, had no idea about book publishing, mm-hmm. right? But I educated myself. I went out and went to courses, and I went to events, and I learned stuff, and I fast-tracked it. And I think that's where people are nowadays. Sometimes, that's what you need to do in business. You need to figure out something you're reasonably good at, get better at it, and then basically make money from it. So that's essentially what it's designed to do. It's a concept around it, but the amazing part about it was the size of the event last year. So they had thousands of people show up to a live event online, pretty much broke the internet, was a record-breaking thing. And then, over 21,000 people actually joined on part of that community in that time. So this year's going to be probably 10 times bigger.
Right.
because now they've got confidence that it's actually going to sell, right? Because back then you launch something, doesn't matter how good it is,
Yes.
until someone actually buys it, you're not sure it's going to work, right?
There's a few points that you've hit on here is, as an entrepreneur, you can go to entrepreneur school, and pretty well when you've come out, it's changed.
Yep.
The marketing approach has changed, the social media has changed, the approach of the way you're interacting with people has changed. And being an entrepreneur, you cannot rest on your laurels. You
No.
always have to be updating yourself because the system is always changing. The approach is always changing. Things you need to know in order to stay current and ahead of the game is always changing. So if you're not willing to constantly evolve, you're not going to be a long-lasting entrepreneur. So it is always about capitalizing on that knowledge. And for people like Tony Robbins, he's obviously the knowledge guru and highly successful. And how many people has he coached along the way that in turn have become highly successful? So if you've got an opportunity to join something, and I believe the call is for free.
Yeah, so basically they have an online event. I think it's on the 28th of February. We'll put links up there, people can come along. So essentially, probably one of the things is be attending one of the largest online events ever. It's probably an interesting thing to say you've done. So they're giving away essentially free training for that period. And obviously, if you like what you hear, you can get into the course and go from there. And they've got a money back guarantee, and you can pay it. These are payment options down the track as well.
I mean, it's whether you're just signing up for the course, signing up for the free thing. I mean, it's how many times do we sign up for something and it doesn't turn out to be what we thought it was? Well, what they're doing here is they're inviting you to the party. They're letting you taste the food and the drink. And if you want to know more, through the back room, so to speak, then, you can sign up for that and then really get the in-depth. But you know what you're signing up for.
Exactly. And I think it's a nice thing to do because they're basically, they're giving valuable information out it anyway. And I think one of the things they say is like, it's great to sign up, but also show up.
Yes.
Make sure you show up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise nothing, and particularly in business, right? If you don't show up on the day, then nothing happens, right? So I think it's a habit that most entrepreneurs end up getting is that they commit to something, make sure you show up to it. And they'll go over a lot of things that, how it works and stuff and talk about, some other people's success and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, for me, like when I actually got access to the course, what I realized was it was just a blueprint. It's almost follow your nose, checklist almost process. And it's also gamified. So you get points when you're in there. So you can actually, as you go through, you can buy extra, unlock other videos and stuff like that. So it's a bit of fun. And then once you finish, you got to take a little test, and once you finish, you get a certificate. So basically, it's a nice kind of experience. And at the same time, they have a bunch of checklists and a process. So essentially, if you said to me, "Look, I know something," let's say podcasting is a good example. Like you've done so many podcasts, I think you've probably got a good idea on how to do it, right? And simply by the numbers, right? So if you do something enough, you're an expert at it. To take that information and say, how would I turn that into a mastermind event where people might come along, in person and do it, or might do it online? That's a big job, right?
Yes.
And a lot of work goes into it, and a lot of mistakes will happen too the first time around. It's like your first podcast, I'm sure.
It was a Monty Python skit, my first podcast, let me tell you.
I love it when the sound doesn't work, or you end up with a video and no sound, or no video. And it's like a mess.
Yeah, and I was live too, and I pressed all the wrong buttons. So you
always overestimate what you can do, right? You think I can get this done, and realize the internet drops out. So I think at the end of the day, they basically give you the tools to be able to go and do it in a step-by-step environment that essentially you don't really have to think too much about, because essentially it's a process that they've used. And if you look at Tony Robbins, like he's built his business off the back of this concept of knowledge broking.
Right.
So the idea is that he's run courses, and if you go into his sort of high level masterminds that he operates, there's always an expert in this, not always Tony, right? So Tony almost facilitates it, but he has other people who help him, get the right information, the right people. And so sometimes as a knowledge broker, you don't have to be the expert, right? One of the things that they've actually got 4 modules, essentially. That's it, right? Extract it, figure out what you can do, fill the room in terms of how you're going to do it, run it, and then how you build a knowledge-based business. And so sometimes you don't have to know the information, right? You can find people that know this information, bring them together, do a deal with them, that kind of thing as a start point. So some people say, oh, I don't know anything, right?
Yeah.
Chances are you probably do. So if you go through the extraction process and prove that you actually don't know anything,
Yes.
well then, you know, obviously you can say, okay, well, I'll find people who do know stuff and learn from them. And so I think that's a great way to kind of build a business, and they give you all the tools to actually do that from the get-go.
You know, as an entrepreneur, very often you're a soloist, you know. It's just you and your violin. And, you know, it really to have the impact, that's great as an intro, but you really need the orchestra in order to make a big impact. So, you know what Tony Robbins has done, along with Dean
Graciosi.
And
Nobody did spell it, so it's all good. Like,
yes. I know we travel around those. And he's got a couple of other people there. He has a young lady, and let me just have a look at Russell Brunson and Jenna Kutcher. And so he has them up there as well. And the thing is, that's his orchestra that he's put forth there. And the thing is, as an entrepreneur, you have got a wonderful instrument. And the problem is that you're either solo or you've got one or two people. And if you're in a big organization, the reason why they do succeed is because they have teams. They have people who are expert in this field and that field, and everybody's putting it together. As an entrepreneur, we go into entrepreneurism for a couple of reasons. One, freedom, no boss. Yeah. Two, you know, we think we're going to have more free time, not initially. But it's also because we want our passion, that what we're passionate about, to bring it to the table in our light. But if we don't tap into the other people in the orchestra, then we're just going to be one note all the way through it. So what he's offering is all these wonderful instruments. You know, they're going to help you create your own orchestra. So there is no losing. Even if you come away with one thing, that's one thing you can apply to your business to make it better. And then if you're willing to put out the money to go and take the course, that means you are willing to apply it to your business and really get into it. Because another thing an entrepreneur forgets is that you have to invest in your business. And that means you have to invest in your constant updating, your growth, you know, the knowledge brokering that is out there, because that's what keeps you up in front, not straggling behind.
Exactly. And I think the thing too is that the really nice thing about it is what we noticed was when the community was fired up. So there's nearly 21,000 people in that Facebook group, right? I've never seen a Facebook group that big. And I actually did an interview with Dean a couple of weeks ago that we're going to release. And one of the questions I said to him is like, I've never seen anything. He said, neither have I. Like, he's never seen. And so you can imagine this, you wake up the next morning and your entire Facebook feed is just that. Like, that was all that was on there. It was just completely full of all these people that joined up, and the interaction and the support in that group. So in some respects, it's not just the course that you've got, it's that support of that bigger community. And so I think that was quite amazing to see that many people engaged in the actual Facebook group. And he said, I think they said 40,000 comments a month or something.
Right. I mean, the beyond signing up for the course, now you have a complete community. And if you, again, we've talked about this before, you know, when it comes to social media, you have to be engaged. Yep. You have to participate. You have to follow people, make comments, build a relationship. This is how you meet people, and this is how you find whatever that interaction is. And so if you have, everybody has, you know, watched this and everybody's got a comment on it, and you can participate in that, look at the network that you have the opportunity of building up there.
Yeah, and it's nice to see people help each other. So there's
it's the only way.
What I noticed was that there was a very openness, and then Tony's very involved in it. So a lot of people say, "Oh, Tony's just a figurehead. He's just going to, put his poster up the top, show up to the thing, and that's it." But Tony is actually in that group every so often, you know, quite a lot, and he does videos in that group sometimes, and he's very much involved in it. So I think what happened was, I think this whole thing caught him a bit by surprise. I didn't really expect it to grow as big as it did, and then it got Tony's attention more than he probably anticipated at the time.
Yeah.
And now he's sort of like, he opened up his Fiji island for the affiliates last year to attend, and they're running a summit later this year, which is actually 50% sold out even before they haven't even advertised it yet. So you can see that it's a movement that's growing. It's not just, so you're not really just joining a course, you're joining a movement, which is very different to a lot of the online courses to a degree.
Yes.
Like, it's very hard to get that excited about certain things, like how to do internet marketing. That's not exactly that, in that respect. But when you actually change people's lives and you can actually improve their lives through education, then I think that's quite an amazing thing to do.
And again, he's formatted himself into the current. Now, everybody knows that, he's had how many events that people have gone to watch Tony Robbins' event. And then I know he backed out for a while and other people were doing it because you can only do so much. It can burn you out. But just like, I was watching the Oscars last night, and Hamilton is now going to be made into a movie with the original cast, because not everybody can afford to go to the theater, and not only the tickets, but where it is, and it's such a wonderful play that it should be out there. So he's doing essentially the same thing by putting something online. He's inviting the masses to have this opportunity, and not just the elite few that can afford the destination.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think the thing is that because you're extracting out all their information and their processes, and I've got a huge admiration for Dean. Like, I never even really knew who he was. And I mean, discussions we had with you, but if you check him out, he's written quite a lot of books, but he started with virtually from, left school young like I did. And basically he hasn't had a formal, university education or anything, but has made a lot of money.
That sometimes is a benefit, not having a formal.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think,
picking up the information along the way. I think that really, just look at some of the big ones out there.
Exactly.
Right? Richard Branson, he's self-made. Yeah. They're the Nike. They just do it. And it constantly evolves.
One of the amazing things about it, something I learned yesterday, so it's totally unrelated to this, but it's a very interesting concept, and that's a one-word advertisement, or one-word call to action, right? And so if you say the word Branson, then you know exactly what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Say the word Nike, So it must become a one-word brand. Is a very interesting concept, and part of this concept, if you say Tony Robbins or Robbins, it's who it is. You don't have to know anything from that. So that's a brand building exercise. And so just purely by what they do. But I mean, with Dean, like, I couldn't believe how engaged he is in the whole thing. It's his full-time business now. Like, he doesn't do a hell of a lot of other stuff. He's fully committed to this, so he's in that group so much. And so I think you're actually getting access to these guys that you would never get access to.
Right.
And they would never do a video to you, essentially.
Right.
So much. So, almost a bargain. In my respect, it's a bargain to get into that inner circle level. And like you said, if you learn one thing, sometimes one thing can be the change in your business. Like, you only need, like, I think 1,000 things. Some people say, look, I'll do 1,000 things and I'll make something will work. But the reality is you get so confused and so burnt out, you don't get anywhere, right? You just completely fail, it doesn't work. But you just say, that one thing I learned, I'm going to go do that. That's all you need in business.
Well, I understand sometimes it's the one person, case in point, you and I, I had the blueprint, I had the vision, I even had the content in a mess, like the paper file on the table.
Yes.
And you've taken all of this and working very patiently with me, because I just don't see things the same way other people do, and systematically building me a platform that other people will be able to comprehend that can't right now, because I've simply got too much, that's scattered. And so sometimes it's what you have, but who you know that can help you get to that next level. And that's an important thing to understand. You may watch this, learn a great big tips, but through interacting with somebody on the Facebook, you may come up with somebody that is your answer. You were introduced to me and you were the answer. And I've spoken to many people. And that's when you have that synergy, where you willing to build that relationship, which as an entrepreneur, you've got to be willing to build relationships. Yeah.
And I think the thing is, nothing's changed. Like, at the end of the day, I think what people forget is that people are people. So on social media, it's almost like they think they're talking to robots. They're not. And so I think the danger is that you forget the old-fashioned, if they want to call it old-fashioned method of actually building a relationship with someone and connecting to them. And I think part of the problem is that, and I see this a lot, whatever you want to say, if you can cut that by 80%, and you'll find that 80% of it's fluff anyway.
Right.
So at the end of the day, and if you look at TED Talks, for example, and I've got a guy that's just recently I've taken on as a client, and he had to do a TED Talk, and the original guy said the TED Talk's half an hour, and he said, no, now it's only 20 minutes. And he said, yeah, you have to cut it down to 10. And he kept on trimming. And what he realized was the more he trimmed, the better it got.
Right. You're filtering out. Yes.
I think the danger is on with social media and websites is that you can say so much, but the reality is you lose the message. And so being really tight in that and saying and cutting and cutting and cutting is essentially what most professionals do. Like if you look at movies, you look at TV series, they cut until they get to a point where they think, and you watch a movie and you watch the deleted scenes and you go, why did they cut that scene? That made a lot of sense. And you look at it and think, wasn't that great? I can see why they cut it.
Right. Yes.
Like almost the story, you could figure it out yourself. You didn't need to be told.
Right. Yes.
Right?
It would have been too much explanation. I have a friend I'm helping right now, over a cause, and he's a green personality in the sense that he wants to tell everybody the information, and I'm trying to get him to make statements. And basically what you're talking about on a website or on social media is that you're going to interact or respond to a statement. If it looks like it's a conversation that's building, say, let's chat. And set up a time to actually physically speak to this person. You've got so many different mediums that you can do this on, that really it's like you can see there's a synergy there. You've got something to say. Now is the time to move it to the next level. And don't try and sell them something immediately up front, because until you know what the relationship is, you don't know if there's anything to sell to each other.
Exactly. And I think the interesting thing is that, I talked about the modules in this course, and one of the modules is extracted. And one of the things that you can do is, it's interesting, right? It's a two-way street with this thing. It's got ability to be able to work through stuff and get it extracted out the way that you probably would do and pay $100,000 mastermind to go do, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's one thing, is getting information out, but it also gives you a process to actually get it out of other people. So it's almost like they show you how to do it yourself, but then you can almost take those checklists and worksheets and say, okay, just turn it around to whatever I'm doing and replicate it, and suddenly you've got the same process. And that's a game changer when you think about it, because be able to extract that information out of someone in a logical way and then produce it from that point is massive. That's probably the course in itself. You could probably get the rest of the course, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Got that. Then they'll show you how to do it. But the reality is getting that initial message to market, figuring out what you're about, getting it very clear in your head is the one thing that I see happen a lot where people don't. They try too many different things, and it starts being like their website becomes a Frankenstein of all these different things, and then just jumping around. And that's a typical entrepreneurial thing, right? And part of the reason why we write our platforms to try and do that is get that all sort of corralled and into a logical way of doing it and a process. And I think that's the trick.
It's where to put it, isn't it? It's the statement to entice people in, the little more information, and that's what blogs are about, or articles are about. They're about the full content. That's where you can really lay it all out. But to put it all out there up front, people just look at that many words. Unless it's a statement that kind of really speaks to you and now you're interested. But really, it is the stages that one has to go through. And if you don't know what those stages are, you could jump to the end, and you've missed all the invitation to people. Because not everybody's going to go to the end,
That's right. And the last thing that's interesting, and they give you a piece of software called MindMint, which is an interesting name. I'm quite sure. I suppose it makes sense. And so the idea behind that is that's the event running software. So basically all the systems they give you and the stuff they teach you, the piece of software allows you to actually run the event. So it's got the questionnaires and the surveys and the actual landing pages to sell the event, and all those things are all laid out in a process. So basically you can essentially fill in the blanks, and suddenly you've got a mastermind event set up that you can then start promoting. So it's almost like it's within a few days you could actually have something up there. Because one of the things you've got to be careful about is that you might have decided, this is a great idea, I'm going to promote this, but have no idea what's going to work or not.
Right.
And so why spend 6 months developing something and realize it's not going to work? Right. So fast start, fast failure, to me is worthwhile, because then you can actually move on to something else and not spend 2 years worrying about the fact that you spent all this time and it didn't work. Right. And so I think having that kind of blueprint to go roll out, see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, great, pull back and regroup. That's okay. That's what you want to do, because the market, you have to understand the market. And the reality is that most big businesses don't understand the market either.
Right. And the market is changing every 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So who would know that Uber would have taken off, right?
Right. Exactly.
It didn't seem like a logical thing that you book a ride with a total stranger you didn't know.
Yes, it's always been don't get into cars with strangers, and we're
Exactly.
promoting that.
Right? So they didn't know that was going to work, and I'm sure the taxi industry didn't think it was going to work because they would never tried it. And so until they actually did a test run and actually in the market then told you it works, it's almost like, to me, the entrepreneurial market's like the stock market. You put your shares out there, and if nobody buys any, you know that you've got the wrong message or you've got the wrong product. You have to regroup and do it again. And most people on the share market don't just give up, right? They keep pushing out their business, trying to grow their business till their share price goes up. So to me, that's the same thing. You've got to be constantly working on it. And so really it's either someone, to me, it's anybody that's like, I've got 30 years business experience, and I was reading the stuff in that course, and it's like that sort of like, oh, I knew that. I didn't know this bit.
Right.
I can now understand why I know that, right? And
well,
so,
I mean, they're giving you a template, aren't they? You know, I mean, one of the biggest problems, what you're doing for me is completely restructuring my site, my platform and everything, and automating a great deal that takes up so much of my time right now.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for people to find what they need to find, to be a part of it, to insert their information, etc. And that's the beauty when you have people out there that are creating that blueprint, that template for you. And now you can just slot in your own personal thing. It's an easy follow. You know, not an encyclopedia manual. It's like they've built a system for you. It now allows you to propel yourself up to the next stage.
Exactly. And I think the thing is too, is it's been able to have some sort of tools and people to go to ask questions.
Yes.
And that whole process, and that actually understand the content. So one of the big dangers is you could look at the content, go and ask someone about it, and go, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? What's this words mean, right? And I think that's the nice thing about it. And to us, for our platform, it's a glove fit, because what we need to do is extract the information out of a client, get it packaged right, and then get that messaging right, and then roll from there. Because without that being correct at the start, then all we do is we'll end up building a website and never sell anything or do anything.
Or a pretty site that is totally unproductive, and that's, you know,
pretty doesn't sell.
But the other thing too is also a site that's non-representative of the person. Yes. You know, and that disconnect is huge. You know, which I come across a great deal. People have paid a fortune for a site, and there's nothing of them represented in there, and so you know, it's almost like false advertising. So
and I think it's because people think that other people want to see it that way.
Yeah.
But
you've got to going back to branding. You are your brand, so your brand must be in there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a danger because a lot of people don't want to be out front in their brand, right? They want to be a faceless organisation. Unfortunately, none of them really work anymore.
No,
I mean, the only ones I can think of that's a faceless organisation is typically Google. So when you look at, you know, I don't even think you tell me even runs Google, right? You know,
I don't know. Was it not Elon? No, is it? Who is it now?
Exactly. So they've created a faceless organisation to a degree. But when you look at Facebook, you look at Amazon, even though it doesn't come out much, you know who he is, right? And so I think those faceless organisations are all very well, but they haven't built a movement around what they do. You know what I mean? They've become more of a corporate look.
What they actually do is personalise your life by attending into you personally. They're almost like a faceless servant. Yes,
exactly. And I think you look at that strategy, but most of the people in business nowadays, you look at any of these large businesses, that you know, you got to lead from the front. You've got to have that person at the front. And I think, good or bad, you know, Musk probably creates a lot of problems for his business, right?
Right.
It also creates a lot of activity and a lot of interest, and so it's like a two-edged sword. So I think at the end of the day, you know, you've got to be prepared to do that. And part of the problem is getting that message right and being yourself. That people are going to accept. So some people say, I'll be myself. I'm not going to change because I'm going to stay the way I'm going to be. But the reality is that it's not about. You've also got to look at it and go, is that okay? Like, is people going to just completely offended and never do business with me anyway? And that's where it becomes, you know, less and less. They take it away. They keep taking away that personality. They take away that messaging, and eventually it becomes very sanitized. And
And, you know, admittedly, I mean, I've just interviewed Manoj, who actually helps technical startup companies. And we know that most technical people aren't necessarily the upfront personal
Not the best
integrate with people.
communicators, no.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
talk tech to you all day long, but maybe not layman. And so this is where they really need the information that can personalize it from away, or they've got somebody that represents them. Because you are behind the scenes, you're the brain behind the scenes. You've got a spokesperson that's up there in the front that can speak your language and everybody else's language. So
Exactly.
you're not meant to be everything to everyone, and if you
No.
can't, that's where you get somebody in that can be what you're not.
Insanity, trying to do that, to be honest, trying to be everything.
Right.
And I think the danger is that you end up doing justice to none of it, and you end up probably doing the stuff you don't like. That's what you see happens. You end up having to do the stuff you don't like because no one else will do it.
Yeah, believe me. Oh, believe me. I know. I've been wearing all the hats now for the last 7 years. So yes, I know. And it's so nice now that I know I'm going to be able to take many of those hats off and have a much lighter head in order to do what I do best. And what I enjoy the most, and not get bogged down. So it is very important. What I love about what they're saying here is they're given the date. It's the Thursday, February the 27th. The time is 5 Pacific and 8 Central is that. Let me just have a quick look. 8 Eastern. And then it's first come, first serve on the live chat. So it really is like if you want to get involved with this, you have a link.
Get there early.
And, with that link, you can sign right up through that link, right, to be a part of it. And it's like, if you are an entrepreneur out there, I don't care even if you are extremely busy right now and very, very successful. The knowledge you're going to be learning here is something you're going to need during the dry patches or when you're not so busy, or even a way to keep being busy by being current. So we can never say, well, I know it all, I don't need it. Or I'm busy right now, I don't need it. What about tomorrow?
Yeah, when you do need it. So I think it's think back into those resources. And the way it's basically going to work is they're going to do the live cast, I think. And I believe they're going to do a replay. But it's so much better when you're there live. So obviously, if you're in a time zone you can't do it, that's one thing. Come to a replay, but it's not as good as being live. And then they'll offer the course over the next couple of weeks, and then they'll close it down. So there's a chance that they may not necessarily open up what they call an ongoing offer or an evergreen offer. Last time, what happened is they pretty much didn't do that for quite a while after the event. So the reality is that they will close it down because they've got to onboard these thousands of people.
Right.
And so it's worth just paying attention for a little bit, give it a go, see what you think. I believe it's probably the gold standard of online courses. I've never seen anything done so well, and I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
I've bought a lot.
Right. Well, I mean, what did you get out of it last year? I mean, obviously you're very enthusiastic about this year and other people have the experience of it, but, name something that really was, a little light bulb moment for you.
Probably trouble is that there's so much in there that is, but I think what happened to me was it sort of brought home true basically why I was building my platform, right? Because I looked at it and I said, these people need something like this. So one of the things that it does is it gets you set up and says, okay, this is all the process you're going to need. And then you've got to go and try and fill that up with software or some sort of solution. And to us, it looked like, wow, this is our market. This is our community, if you like, and I didn't know there was that many people out there. You know what I mean? Like when you even there's a lot of online entrepreneurs out there, but when you look at the volume, you think, wow, there's so many people out there that need that structure.
Yes.
Ultimately, probably will need our software because we can provide an all-in solution. So to me, it was like a light bulb moment. It's like, wow, not only that, I've got the entire system to be able to help them implement the software. So it's almost
validation for you then. Validation you are on the right track.
Yeah, and it showed up and gave me the tools to be able to say, okay, I've got these worksheets, and I think I've given you some of these worksheets already, actually, that to give you some tools and everything to be able to get up and running in business. So to me, it was a great kind of, positioning thing. Say, hey, great, I know exactly what I've got to do now.
Right.
And I mean, they go through some deep stuff. They got videos on every piece of advertising you can think of, almost every piece of information you need to do in that process they've kind of thought of. And this year, they're actually bringing out a version 2 of the actual platform, which is apparently even bigger in terms of what they've done already. And so I think at the end of the day, they go through affiliates, they go through social media, they go through email management, they go through mindset, they go through almost, like everything. So it's almost like a university. I mean, I wouldn't call it a course.
Right.
It's more of a university course for a fraction of what you pay me at university.
Oh my goodness, yes, yeah.
And at the end of the day, a lot quicker too. So in reality, you can work at your own pace. But at the end of the day, as you unlock things, they give you points. So it's almost like you've got to work through it.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you a way of kind of getting to the end of it too. Like I think commit to do it.
And the thing again, you've got the community there. And you're going to have other people that have signed up for the course as well, and you're going to be able to interact with those people. And who knows if there aren't going to be, extensions of yourself, that these people are very good at that. Instead of me trying to do it myself, I'm going to collaborate with them. And, that's again, you mentioned my magic word, community, because the site you're building for me is discovering communities. And it is about, your community and what you bring to the table and how you can collaborate with other people. So be the best that you can be, so you can align.
I did the same thing in the group, actually. I went in there and offered to do a podcast interview with some of the group members, and I got quite a few that said, yeah, okay. So if you go in there with a position of giving, like say, hey, look, I'll give you this.
Yes.
That sort of thing. And what I noticed was that they were very, like, a lot of these groups, when you join, people try to promote stuff very quickly, right?
Right. Yeah, it's not about self-promotion. It's about learning.
And
interacting, forming relationships.
Very rarely was it like that. Like, I was surprised. And the reality is you can post and you don't have approval process. So the reality is you could go and spam the group. I guess they'll kick you out pretty quick if you did.
Yeah.
But the reality is that people were giving. They were giving their knowledge. They were giving opportunities, helping each other out. And I think that's the trick. If you can get that large scale, and imagine 21,000 people, I wouldn't imagine, I don't know, I'm sort of doing a spitball here as how many are going to be in there. But I think anywhere between 50 and 100,000 people will show up in that group by the end of this. And that's just going to be just a huge number of people. And probably next year, it'll probably 10x again, so they really are doing what they want to do, is they want to make an impact on people. And so you can't make an impact on 5 people, you make an impact on 50,000 people. That's right. You're getting somewhere, right?
A bigger ripple out there for sure. You take a forest and you look at the matrix of the trees. Every single one of those trees has a matrix that reaches out to the roots of another tree, and they feed each other, they support each other, and they just keep on reaching out to all the other trees around them. And that's why a forest is so strong, and it can weather so many storms. And if we look at, listening to being part of this, signing up for the course of that valuable information, it's not just the information you're coming away with. You now are building your wonderful matrix of community of people that it's not about what can I sell to them. No, it's about that collaboration, those communities. And then when somebody really likes you and what you're doing, they're going to share that, vice versa. And that's really what it's about. Stop pitching so much and start inviting, right?
Start giving.
Yes.
I find that, if you give in a group like that, if you just keep on giving, eventually it'll come back to you.
Oh, yes.
If you take, then people pretty much quick up on that one, and then they'll kick you out. So I think that's the thing. If you go on with a concept of giving, and that's really what you're doing with the mastermind course anyway, you're giving. And so I think at the end of the day, if you can come in that mindset, come along and have a listen to it and see what you think, I think that's, obviously at the end of the day, it's on you if you want to try it. And they offer money back guarantee anyway. So if you don't like it, then bail out, But at the end of the day, I don't think they had virtually nobody asked for a refund last time.
Right. I mean, those that do are the people that eat the pizza and save one piece of the crust and say, I didn't like it, right?
I didn't pay a lot of attention to the buttons anyway. I don't know what happened, but there's always someone.
Always someone. So how about you give the link that people can go to sign up for this, to be a part of it?
So what we'll do is we'll put it up on the screen, because we want to make sure we get the right link and post it on your website. Yes, I'll have that up
on the screen. So, but for the people who are just listening to audio?
Okay, one of the things, just when you want to cut them here, one of the problems is your link's a bit complicated. So unless we want to try and build some sort of link for you that's easier, I don't know what we'll do there.
Well, how about
I've got that DG link.
Yeah. Well, how about I just give this
link? It's too bloody long, right?
Yeah, no, it is. You know what, folks? Come back to selfdiscoverymedia.com. Go to John North on the mentors there. Just put in his name, John North. And on his mentors page will be the show and will be the link. Also, they can go to you. Which site would you like them to go to, or email you so that they can get the link?
Well, if they get desperate, they can go to johnskbb.com. So that's basically a link that I've been, or website I've been given to by Tony and Dean to be able to actually promote it. So it's just johnskbb.com as another option as well.
johnskbb.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Easy to remember.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, the thing is, get signed up for it, because whether you are a solopreneur, entrepreneur of a team, you want to stay in business. It's taken you a long time to build, or you're in the process of building. And again, you can't rest on your laurels. You always need to be knowing what else is out there in order to keep current and to be ahead of the game. And if you've got such masterminds sharing, their own success with you, and that's free to come in and share that, and then you're ready to invest in your business, which is a minimal amount to what they could charge for what they're doing, because there are a lot of people I know who will charge $100,000 for this, and I know who they are, and there's nowhere near they're going to be charging that.
A fraction of that.
Because really what they're wanting is for people to succeed, aren't they?
Yeah, and make an impact. So the reality is not about the money for them; it is about the impact.
Yeah.
And getting the stories. And I know that at one point they asked people to send in videos of their success or whatever, and they got over 1,000 videos at the time, and they've got 4 or 5 guys editing around the clock these videos, and they keep on flowing in. So the reality is that they're able to impact that many people, and the reality is, again, it's like, wow, those people have got something out of it. So I think that's really the main goal. Is it's not very much like join up, don't do the course, don't do anything. That's no point, right? If you're going to do that, please don't do it, right? There's no point. You're just wasting money. But if you're going to go and commit to do it and have a look and do the process at least and try it, if you don't like it, well, great, that's fine, don't do it.
And if you're on the fence and you don't know if it's for you, then just tap into this free one and hear for yourself, and you will know. If you come away with 1 or 2 things from it that you didn't know, an aha moment, then you go, oh my God, that is invaluable to my business. And then if this is invaluable, what would the course be?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, that's the importance of it. So it's you don't gain anything unless you participate, folks.
Exactly. You can't be an innocent bystander and not expect anything to happen, right?
No. And the thing is, when people, you already know the name, you already got, the review. When is the show coming out with Dean?
I think that's on the 27th of February.
Okay, that's the same day that of this.
Yeah, so that. My show probably around the 20th of February.
Okay, so you can listen to Dean the week before. I would sign up now, though, but listen to Dean the week before, and then for yourself. I really like what this guy says. Okay, I'm not a Tony Robbins fan, but hey, I like this guy. And there's 2 other speakers there as well. And so it's not about the people per se as what they're giving to you, what they're sharing with you, and what you can gain from it. And there seems to be so many gains here. It's not just the knowledge you're learning, it's the community that it's built, the opportunity to interact with other people, and the opportunity to sign up for the main course, which can literally be life-changing for your business.
Yeah, exactly. That's very cool.
And then at the same time, don't forget to check out John and his business, Evolvepreneur, and also Evolve Publishing. As I said, he's building, resetting me out completely. It will be out very, very soon, before March. And, he's taking my scatteredness and putting it all together in a nice, format and library that is cohesive to find, as, touch of that green personality there when my desk is always messy. And he's goldifying it, putting it in a nice structure that you're actually going to be able to find. And build on it. Yes, constantly. I will be able to expand easily on this without kind of building on the rockiness of it, which is what is happening right now. My information has got lost on my site because it's not clear and concise. And so if you are finding yourself that you're getting to a stage where you are showing so much out there, I'm doing this and I've got courses there and I've got this there, and my site is just, not representing that, then really do reach out to John. And also if you've got a book that you want to write, that you want to get out there, that, you want to be nurtured through, not just self-publish and hope somebody reads it, but have it done in a way that is professional, that people will really, know who you are because of your book. Then again, reach out to John. And what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Probably start with johnnorth.com.au. So
Yep.
if you go there, everything we do is on there. So it's almost like that. I have that website so I can remember what I've done. Right? So, and that's the thing I've done is I've broken the business into chunks, right? So you choose your own adventure. So that way you go and you look at my site and you go, okay, do you want to go publishing? You want to go website, platform, whatever you want to do to choose your own adventure. I've done that as a turning point to say people, okay, where do you want to go? Which direction? As opposed to trying to have one website that's trying to do it all.
Right, which is what I have right now, right?
Yeah, one ring does not rule them all, unfortunately.
No, and the thing is they can get a flavour of you first by going to johnnorth.com, and then from AU, is it AU? AU for Australia folks, because he's out in the sunny Australia.
I can't get the .com. There's actually someone else has got that.
Okay, yeah, no .coms, just AU. Yeah. And please, he's come on today to share the enthusiasm of what Tony Robbins and Dean is offering, and what impact it had on his own business, and he wants you to have that impact as well, because ultimately, although we're both in business, we are wanting these communities to grow, because the more everybody succeeds, the more we become invitational, the more we build these communities and these people, and we work together, we're just making our impact and making this world a better place, right?
Exactly right.
Okay.
As you get through, it's interesting, as you get through business, moving from creating product, making money, all that sort of stuff, it's interesting when you get to the end of it and you look at these guys that made a lot of money. All they want to do is make an impact. What they realize is the legacy they leave isn't money.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you look at all the guys that Bill Gates started Bill Gates Foundation, and all these guys that get to the end where they've got so much money, they realize that actually doesn't mean anything.
Well, look at Buffett. He gives 50% of his money away all the time, and he keeps making more.
Exactly.
And it's funny, like it's generating. It's and that's the thing. We talk about riches and power, but we also talk about empowerment and enriching. And in the end, where really is the currency, right?
Yes, exactly. Knowledge is the new currency, as they say.
It is. It absolutely is. And now I've got a lot of currency right here. So.
Exactly. So really, thanks for interviewing me. This is really cool. And I'll just say, look, just go along and have a look. Nothing gained, if you don't do it. But at the end of the day, it's something that you might learn something out of. And if you like it, keep going. If you don't, stop.
Right.
But
please share this out with your other fellow entrepreneurs and fellow business, whether you're a solopreneur or you're bigger. There's something to learn. Because we want you to have the longevity. We want you to succeed. We want your beautiful gift to keep contributing. So if there's something you can get out of this, please keep sharing it with people, because it's not about, it's me and my information. No, the more you share it, the more everybody grows, the more everybody benefits. There's enough for everybody out there.
Exactly.
All right, John, thanks a lot. And again, we'll have more down the road, and maybe use one of those templates and do our own special event.
Yes, maybe we need a mastermind for podcasters, I think.
Oh, yeah, I've got plenty of masterminds we can put together, so that would be fun, definitely. All right, folks. So the KBB method, sign up for it. Go through John's link. You can find him on johnnorth.au. Your Facebook and your LinkedIn.
Just search me on johnnorth.com. If you go to johnnorth.com.au and scroll to the bottom, all the social media links are there, so it's probably the fastest way.
You mean .au, not .com?
.au, yeah. So .johnnorth. Did I say .com?
You did. So, contact him in LinkedIn, share it along with your own groups, your Facebook, and everything else. Get this out. The first part of it is free, and if you want to sign up for the course, you can do, but free information from knowledge gurus that have been out there for one hell of a long time, and that can share something that can help you in your own business. Why not, folks? Okay. Thanks, John.
We'll see you soon.
Until next time, folks. Bye for now.
We hope that you enjoyed the show. To find many more shows of inspiration, please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com podcasts, and you will see an array of shows to choose from. Please do visit our www.discoveringcommunities.org and see what else that we have in store for you. Do enjoy our next show.